Welcome to Meaningful Morning on a Saturday. I was just appreciating how all of you are committed to self-development, that it's Saturday morning and there's just as many of you who are joining us for Meaningful Mornings as on Tuesday or Thursday. In fact, you're more committed because if you look at the bottom row on Zoom, so few don't have their cameras on. And as I'm saying this, they're about to turn their cameras on. In less than 40 days, we will commence our Chinmaya Inspiration Yatra 16. We have a group of 25 Devis for women who are going to gather in Calgary. And for 1 week, we're going to hike the Canadian Rocky Mountains, Lake Louise, Saskatchewan Crossing, and so on. This week, I emailed them how to prepare for our yatra. So here are 4 points that I've shared with them. I'm sharing with you also. 2, reduce weight and raise stamina. And I want to qualify reduce weight here. I'm not saying be skinny. Reduce weight means feel lighter. And raise stamina to feel like you can go longer. I also have encouraged everyone to judge less, reflect more. Reduce weight, raise stamina. Judge less, reflect more. Judge less because this yatra is not going to be comfortable for them. So I'm training them not to complain with the conditions that I've created for them. Is this good preparation for them? Good advice? Now, where do you think I'm going to go with this right now? We are all on a Jivan Yatra. Our whole life is a yatra or a journey. So if you feel these 25 Devis, yeah, they should raise their stamina. You should judge less, reflect more. This is what we try to do in Meaningful Mornings, to treat every day like a journey. Our yatras are meaningful. They're not luxurious. So to find that meaning in all of our challenges. The samsara vriksha is made of roots, I should go downwards, roots, branches, sap, buds, leaves, then more branches, branches going upwards, then more roots, roots going downward. I described all of this in English as separateness. I'm adding that N-E-S-S to make sure this is personalized. Separateness, where I feel different than the original parent. Then what comes with that? Smallness, sadness, stressness, stuckness. We are on this tree. Next week, I'll describe more about that. We are a bird on this tree. Shri Krishna is now sharing with us how to fell this samsara vriksha. You have to cut from the outside in, from the leaves to the buds to the sap and so on. We trained ourselves in this in chapter 14. Deal with your karma, that's right action, that will then impact your guna, or your intention, which will then impact your varna, that is your vasana or your inclination. The cutting, Sri Krishna specifies, happens through asanga. Sangha means dependence, attachment. Asanga, independence, detachment. Practically, how does one nourish asanga? It starts with knowing that there's more to life than meets the eye. Yesterday I gave you a Marvel reference. Today I'm giving you a Transformers reference. It's like Movies 101. Think about this logically. If you don't feel there's more, then what is there to be less dependent on? What is there to be more dependent on? You have to feel that there's more. And that's why last week I had shared to serve with someone who is visionary, then you naturally become more asanga. You know that their ideas are more visionary than your ideas. Adding more to this, whenever you have an opportunity to feel like you're on a yatra or to go on a yatra, this is training in a sangha. You have to be light externally, you have to be light internally. And so in a most practical way, whenever you have an opportunity to be uncomfortable, choose that. Choose discomfort. It is a way of nurturing asanga. Last week with our high school students, our camp theme was embracing discomfort. Sangha, or dependence, this ceases our clarity. Whoever you're attached to, you don't think objectively about them. Your clarity ceases. When your clarity ceases, we naturally become extrovert then. When I am attached, then I'm attached to that which is not me. And I keep getting propelled away from me. Yesterday I had shared about every time you experience an article, a being, a circumstance, cut yourself away from the name, the form, the quality, and hold on to the awareness. Way to visualize this. How many of you eat rice? I should ask, how many of you don't eat rice? When you eat hot rice, okay? Last night I was feeding our kids hot rice. That heat is not the nature of that rice. That rice is hot because of water, particularly hot water. That also is not the nature of that water. That water is hot because of the pot. The heat of the pot is also not the nature of the pot. Go to your cupboard right now. Are your pots hot? So the rice is not hot. The water is not hot. The pot is not hot. If the pot is hot, it's because there's fire there. Electricity, gas, whatever. There's fire there. That is the nature of fire. If fire's not hot, it's not fire then, correct? You see my point. We know articles, beings, and circumstances. How? It's not because of that article, being, and circumstance. It is because of the awareness. When one practices being an introvert, we always think about someone who talks less or someone who's antisocial. An introvert is someone who's introspective. They're becoming more independent. How do you know if you're practicing these verses? You're unimpacted. I don't know if that's a proper English word, but you're unimpacted by your experiences, by articles, beings, and circumstances. I'm reading verse 4 in English again. Then we move on to verse 5. There's a lot of content in these verses. Then that goal should be sought for, where having gone, none returns again. I seek refuge in that primeval Purusha from which stream forth the ancient activity. Really technical, no? Imagine Meaningful Mornings was just technical and not practical. Verse 5. I like this verse. Nirmana moha jita sanga doshaha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha dvandver vimukta sukha dukkha sagnaihi gacchantya mura padam avyayam tata. Joy. Shri Krishna starts with Nirmana. Tell me in English what mana means. I'm not saying mana. I'm saying mana. Honor or pride. The one who's not concerned with pride, so much comes with that. Then, nirmoha, they're not confused. Then, jitasanga dosha, they're not dependent. The first teaching from Shri Krishna here is about mana. Whenever we think of pride, we tend to think of conceit. Someone talking about their car, someone talking about their degree. The more rigorous standard for pride is selfishness. If you ever think that you're being selfish, that's mana. A selfish person feels the world revolves around them. And that selfish person then gets attached to what's revolving around them because they only find their identity in this. Pujaswami Chinmayananda has written, an erroneous estimate of one's own importance is called pride. And it brings about an enormous amount of heavy responsibilities upon oneself to maintain it. There is no time thereafter for one to cultivate oneself to maintain. I was interacting with a young family recently, and they're going through a very tough time. And I shared with the mother particularly, you're taking on this toughness because you feel you're the sole person who's responsible. You're solely in charge. But if you reflect on, you are not the original parent. There's 1,000 other facets involved in whatever has happened, is happening, will happen. And anyone who personalizes this, they will worry less. They will be overwhelmed less. If you worry and are overwhelmed easily, that's mana. That's pride. Adhyatma nitya, which means to feel, Vedanta or knowing yourself, Comprehensively, vinivritta kamaha, and to be freed of desire, the leaves, the buds. This phrase has come directly from chapter 13. In verse 7, Sri Krishna shares, Adhyatma Jnana Nityatva, which means to never forget what you have learned. Practically for us, it is knowing the source of joy. You may be on a 5-star vacation, and so there's lots to see and lots to eat and the softest bed. You don't need an alarm clock. If you know the source of joy, you don't get dependent or attached on all of that. That if that buffet has the best refried beans, that's only a reflection of your own nature, which is joy. Dvandver vimuktaha, one is free from opposites. Like sukha dukkha sagnehi, they know that the nature of living is to change. Coming back to this young family I was interacting with, she's been thinking a lot about, what if this didn't happen? What if I did this? Whenever you think of a what if model, it doesn't work. There's been 1,000 times in our own lives where we should have died. How many of you agree with what I'm sharing? 1,000 times, but here we are. There's 1,000 reasons why another person shouldn't get hurt or die, but they did. Trying to figure out what if is like trying to make your context perfect. It doesn't work. The nature of living is change, accept, adapt, keep moving forward. Gachanti amudaha, goes or feels the one who is clear, padam, to that place, space, dhamma, avyayam, that is unchangeable, indestructible, described as tat, that. Last thought, this last quarter sharing, when tvam, that is you, me, Prince Arjuna, become amudaha, we become clear, we become not moody, we become not limited in reference to the gunas, then we identify with tat, that is divinity. When tvam and tat come together, when the individuality and divinity come together, what remains? Purnam avashishyate, infinity. This avyayam indicates infinity. From inspiration to application, your application yesterday was to eat without tasting. How many of you tried eating without tasting? Good. I have found the way to eat without tasting is to be hungry. Yesterday morning, I had run 10 miles, and after that, I ate this old granola bar that I found in our cupboard. It was amazing. Because I was hungry. This is the reason why we fast in our culture. I try to practice intermittent fasting. I don't eat breakfast. Lunch tastes much better. If you're always tasting while you're eating, it's because you're not hungry. Experience hunger. Your application for this morning is I want you to rate how well you deal with discomfort. 1 is awful. 100 is awesome. How well do you deal with discomfort? To be specific, on our yatra with our devis, one night, they have to sleep in a car in the middle of this federal park. And when I say in a car, I don't mean like a Honda Pilot. I mean a Honda Civic. 5 devis. Not 1 devi or 2 devis, but 5 devis. How well will you deal with that? Shanti, 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 He. Be joy.